Thank you so much for joining me on this edition of the Light the W podcast. As always, I'm your host, Mahal. Make sure you leave a like, subscribe, leave a 5-star review, all of that fantastic jazz. If it's your first time joining, make sure you follow on social media at Light the W Pod on all of that. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, we're active on all of those. So, without further ado, let's sound the horn and get into this episode.
The pitch from Acevedo.
Swung on the line, down the left field line for a base hit. Fly ball, gap, right center field.
Double him up at second.
Luke is going back to the 1-8 track. Get out the right, run and Buster Grandma. It is grand salami time.
will send Seattle to the American League Championship Series for the first time in 24 years.
Good morning, Mariners fans, and welcome back to the Light the W podcast. As always, I am your host, Mahal, and welcome to episode 128 of the show. Today, Tuesday, March 10th, United States played Mexico in the WBC last night, and there's a storyline we're going to have to talk about regarding that. Today's episode, we're going to talk about Cal versus Randy, if there's anything there, if we should be worried, anything like that. We'll also talk about how all the Mariners have done thus far in pool play that are participating in the WBC, and we'll briefly touch on Bryce Miller and his oblique injury that he suffered last week. So, without further ado, let's sound the horn and get into this episode. So, let's start with something I really didn't think I would have to talk about. I didn't think this was going to be a story. I didn't think this was going to be important. I didn't think this would be something that was as big as it was. And if you're not knowing what I'm talking about, last night the United States played Mexico in pool play of the World Baseball Classic. Both teams were 2-0, looking to move to 3-0, which would put them basically through to the next round of the tournament. And when Randy Arozarena stepped up to the plate for his, I believe, first at bat, Cal Raleigh, of course, is catching. A video went viral of Randy Arozarena looking to shake Cal's hand. Cal denied, said something to Randy. We still don't know what exactly he said back there. And denied the handshake. Randy then stepped back into the box, and we continue playing. I want people to remember, the only reason this is a story is because a fan in Houston decided to film Randy Arozarena walking up to the plate, hoping to get something to post online for engagement bait and clicks, and trying to create something out of practically nothing. Okay. At first I see this and I'm like, dog, are we for real? We're really going to be talking about this? Does this matter? It's literally two teammates I think, just messing around. You're competing. And I understand that baseball itself and other sports, there is a piece of it that, when you're on the field, yeah, you can shake guys' hands and there's a sportsmanship thing. Well, there's also a gamesmanship thing. And, you're not supposed to be buddy-buddy with the opponent. A few minutes ago, I saw someone on Twitter talking about remembering when Kobe ran through Pau Gasol. Were they fine after? Yes. Are Cal and Randy going to be fine after? Yes. So what really sparked up the flames, though, of this whole story was post-game Randy Arozarena did an interview, and he had a quote where he was basically, in not the nicest way, telling Cal Raleigh to F off. He did so in reportedly 4 languages, whatever. It is in Spanish. The translations we got were all mostly from AI. Randy Arozarena is from a different culture. We cannot understand his culture for the most part. We have no idea if he's messing around. We have no idea what his sentiment is when he's saying this. He has a smile on his face at the start, has a smile on his face at the end for bits and pieces, almost like he's laughing as he's walking off. And honestly, I'm saying it in 4 languages is like, to me, that's I'm messing around. But again, I don't know Randy Arozarena personally. You don't know Randy Arozarena personally, most likely. The only people that can speak to what Randy Arozarena is like are the people that know him personally. They are the only people that can very likely get a read on exactly what he is saying here, and more importantly, how he means it. The Twitter people that are acting like they know, they don't know, because they don't know Randy Arozarena. It is difficult sometimes to read people's sarcasm or when they are joking. You have no idea how to do so unless you know them reasonably well. We cannot read Randy Arozarena. So from last night when I went to bed all the way till I woke up this morning, people just have been discussing this as if there is some massive blockbuster story here. And I'm not buying it. I'm not buying this. I'm sorry, I can't buy into this. This is the dumbest thing. This is one of the issues with social media, one of the issues with the internet. Stuff like this goes viral, stuff like this goes on, and it is incredibly stupid. Incredibly stupid. And I honestly couldn't care less. I don't care. I'm sorry, I don't. So if you want to be worried about it, you can be worried about it. I'm not going to shame anyone for being worried about these two guys having whatever this may be. But Dan Wilson says he doesn't think it's any sort of issue. I don't think this is any sort of issue. I think this is being blown out of proportion. And I hate that I even have to come on here and talk about this, because I don't want to talk about something like this. It's a mess. It's honestly a joke. It is ridiculous. And let us just enjoy baseball without all of this. So as we move on, let's continue talking about the WBC. But truly, it is one of the dumbest things in Mariners and baseball social media over the past 12 months. It is ridiculous. So, for the WBC, this is what we are going to do. The big Mariners pieces that have played, we are going to talk about what they have done so far in the WBC. For some of the guys, we'll talk about, maybe they're going to play each other in the next round when they play next, stuff like that. But the guys we're going to go through: Bazardo, Cal, Julio, Nails, Canzone, Arroyo, Gabe Spire, Andres Munoz, and Randy Arozarena. We'll then briefly talk about Bryce Miller and all the updates around his injury. Let's start with Edward Bazardo. Had 1 inning. It was clean. Didn't give up a base runner. Didn't have a strikeout. That was against the Netherlands in Game 1 of the tournament for him. He has not pitched since, which is a positive thing. I'll say this with each of the relievers, but honestly, let them get their work in, and let's move on. Cal Raleigh, 0 for 3 in Game 1. He had 3 walks in that game, had an RBI, and scored a run. He played last night in Game 3 against Mexico, went 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. He also was hit by a pitch. He has yet to get off the schneid and get a hit, but really not something to be worried about. It is a tiny sample. It is 2 games. 2 games. people are going on, Twitter and being like, why is Will Smith not playing? Same thing with Gunnar Henderson and Bobby Witt Jr. and like, chill. All of these guys are really good players. It doesn't matter. It's been 2 games. It's been 3 games. It really does not matter. Julio Rodriguez played in the first 2 games for the DR Sat game 3 yesterday. He went 3 for 5 in game 1, had a home run in that game as well as 3 RBIs. He went 0 for 2 in game 2, had 2 walks in that game though. Good start for Julio. Look to continue to see him just, put bat to ball, see if he can get going offensively. The more you see from him, again, it's a small sample. There's not much you can take away, but the more positive things you see, obviously, the better you feel, especially for a guy that, historically struggles to begin seasons. So seeing him play well in the WBC would definitely make you feel better. Josh Naylor, 2 for 4 in game 1. He had an RBI in that game, had a walk. He also struck out once, and then he went 1 for 4 in game 2. Again, just another bat that, is able to get hits, able to get on base, has had a solid start to the WBC, doing exactly what you expect the guy to do. Out there for Team Canada, there is a possibility that Team Canada plays the United States in the next round, which would mean him and Cal Raleigh would face off, and maybe we'll get another handshake debacle, which would be, that would be fun. That would be a blast. I'm sure we would all enjoy having something to talk about once again. Team Canada plays today at 4 p.m. They play Puerto Rico. That should be a really interesting and good game. So make sure you keep your eyes on that. United States plays Italy today. That game is at 6 p.m. Pacific time. So a couple of another good games in the WBC to pay attention to. More Mariners to watch in each of those games. That U.S.-Italy game will also involve the next guy I'll talk about, Dom Canzone, who has had another good start. He went 2 for 4 in game 1, had a homer in that game, which was a moonshot upper deck in Houston. He had 4 RBIs in that game. He also had a walk. And then he went 0 for 5 with a pair of strikeouts in game 2. Again, he will play the United States tonight. So he will have an opportunity to face a higher level of pitching than he has faced thus far, which will be interesting to watch. Obviously, the Dom Canzone podcast out here. So we are paying attention to what Dom Canzone does very closely. And in that first game, he had a ton of really hard hit balls, which is really good to see. That is something that he continues to do for himself, whether that's for the Mariners or for Team Italy. He does hit the ball hard, and seeing him be able to put the bat on the ball is a positive thing, because that was really what allowed him to develop and break out into the guy he was last year. And if he can continue to have that whiff and that strikeout rate lower, he will be a productive piece for this Mariners team very likely in 2026. Michael Arroyo, the first and only prospect that we're going to talk about here. Michael Arroyo has DH'd the entire tournament for Colombia. That said, he went 1 for 4 in game 1, 2 for 3 in game 2, 1 for 3 in game 3, and 0 for 3 in game 4, but had a walk in that game. So he's reached base in every game thus far for Colombia. 308 average, 808 OPS. So he has had a great start, had an RBI in game 2, along with the pair of hits in that game, of course. And defensively, he hasn't seen the field, which isn't unsurprising. He is not the greatest defender. It'll be interesting to see how he sort of fits into this Mariners team when he eventually is ready to be called up. But we don't have to worry about that for at least half of this season. We'll see what he does in Arkansas, which will be really interesting to watch. Both him and Las Montes will be in Arkansas. It'll be interesting to see what they can do in their first opening day out there in Arkansas. But Arroyo is a good bat. He is able to put the ball in play. He is able to, hit doubles, hit singles. He is a good hitter. He's a very good hitter. It's just about whether the defensive developments can come into play, whether he can play left field, whether he can play second base, which seems unlikely at this point. Maybe he could even play a little bit of first base, but also seems unlikely. So it does feel like left field is where he's going to end up, and it'll be interesting to see where the Mariners play him. This year in the minor leagues, he's played I think mostly in the infield this spring, but also hasn't had a ton of opportunities because he was gone for the WBC. After, the first week of games in that first week, you only play every, other day, something like that. Next guy's Gabe Spire, second reliever we'll talk about. 3 relievers total. Spire threw 1 inning in game 1. It was his only appearance. He gave up a hit. It was a homer. He also had 2 strikeouts. Good appearance for him. Sucks to give up the homer, but again, it's 1 inning. You'll give up a homer every once in a while, so not much you can take away from that. It was also a nice piece of hitting to get the homer out of the ballpark. Andres Munoz, similar Gabe Spire, pitched 1 inning in game 1. That's his only appearance so far. He gave up 2 hits and a run in that. He also had 2 strikeouts, similar to Spire. Another guy where, just get his work in, make sure that he stays healthy, make sure he stays, fresh and his arm looks good and he is able to operate with those breaking balls. He's able to sort of, get ready for opening day and this hopefully very long season ahead for this Mariners team. Last guy is the rejected handshake, Randy Arozarena. He went 1 for 4 in game 1. He had an RBI in that game as well as a walk. He went 1 for 2 in game 2. He had a walk and a double in that game. And then he went 0 for 3 against the United States last night. He had a strikeout in that game. Again, I'm sounding like a broken record, but not much you can take away from small sample sizes, whether it's positive or negative. And he hasn't had a bad start. He hasn't had a great start. He has 2 hits, obviously. So, decent start for him. He's been able to get on base so far in the tournament. We'll see what he can continue to do. They will continue having big games. Team Mexico, they play again tomorrow night. I believe they have Italy. Yeah, tomorrow night, Italy, 4 p.m. Pacific time. That's Wednesday. So big game for them, big game to pay attention to. Tomorrow night is a big night in general for the WBC. The DR plays Venezuela as well. So you can watch Julio Rodriguez play in that one. Bazardo on the Venezuelan side will be interesting to see if he gets some time on the bump. Those are all the guys that have participated that are of importance for the Mariners in the WBC. Overall, I would say the Mariners have showed out pretty well at this tournament, and you hope they will continue to do so, especially as we get into the later stages, and maybe we can get that Julio Rodriguez WBC MVP that I've been talking about. But what a stacked team for the DR. They're a lot of fun to watch. They feel almost like a Destiny team, in my opinion. You look at Junior Caminero, Vlad Jr., Fernando Tatis Jr., just an unreal team, truly. Like, an unbelievable roster. We'll see if they have the pitching to get it done in the United States. That is the advantage that they seem to have, is that they do have a pitching staff that is very, very good. And I do think that ultimately that will lead to them having a lot of success in the tournament. Let's talk about Bryce Miller. So, Bryce Miller had a little bit of a setback this spring. He's dealing with a little bit of a sore oblique injury. Not something to be crazy worried about, I think. He was shut down over the weekend from throwing, but he threw a, low intensity bullpen yesterday already. So look, it sucks that, he's dealing with something, and you never want that in the spring because he is another guy that is tinkering. He wants to be able to figure out who he is. He wants to be able to try stuff in spring games. But if the worst injury that he gets this season, knock on wood, is that, oblique sort of injury, that's a very positive thing. It doesn't seem like he's going to miss opening day. Should he? Emerson Hancock would likely make 1 start. So just pay attention to that. I would say we'll keep updates and tabs on that, of course, whether or not Bryce Miller is going to have to miss opening day and miss his first start of the season, which would suck. But it does seem like he is on track to be able to do so, I think. We are still, a few weeks out from from opening day. About 2.5 weeks right now. Opening day is 2 weeks from Thursday, actually, I believe, if I can figure out where my calendar is. 2 weeks from Thursday's opening day. So should be a blast. I will be at one of those games on opening weekend for the Mariners. And then for anyone heading down, if they want to see the Mariners play Anaheim, I'm sure I'll be at probably 2 of those games down here in Orange County. So Mariners baseball is right around the corner. WBC is going to be coming to a close in the next weekish, I want to say. So it should be a lot of baseball to watch. We're really about to get into the thick of it. Jeff and I will be doing American League Central preview on Thursday, so make sure you join us for that. It should be a blast. Till then, as always, go M's and peace.